and his weakness is situated in this particular sphere. So the man works on himself, he's working, discharging his public duties. The woman too carries out her public duties, but she cannot work on herself as much as the man can do. That is the nature of female's mentality. Her character is very flexible, and she is capable to adjust herself to various situations. Of course, she is not always capable to cope with the situation, but at least her mental flexibility enables her somehow to change the behavior, the style of behavior. However, in a family relationship it is not possible, because they have another nature, different from the public relationship. The family relationship by nature are very deep and very painful. There is a real pain, the real suffering, the real trouble in it. And the people often have to accept this kind of defensive position. They are trying to escape the problem. The women often spend more time at work because of this. They try somehow to escape the problem. But then the problem won't be solved and everything will become worse and worse. In the same way, the man can be prone to spend more time at home, and work becomes for him a big heavy burden. But the problem is not solved again. At home nobody will respect him if he won't be serious regarding his duty. In the same way, no one will respect the woman if she is not serious regarding her duty at home. You may raise an objection that maybe other way around. Is that really always so? Why not possible the other way around? According to the Vedic concept of concept, the woman and the man somewhat different from each other. And this difference is situated not only in the structure of the body as we think. This difference is situated in the deepest psychological differences. There is a subtle body. We were talking about this many times in the previous lectures. The subtle body is also a body. This consists of mentality. It has quite stable, rigid, certain structure. Let's say the woman can become a man by taking hormones, yes, to change her body. We know it is possible nowadays. The man can become a woman, but the subtle body here does not change. And if you stop taking hormones, the body again will accept its original form. In this way we can see there is some power which forces to accept this original form. The woman become a woman again and the man become a man if you stop taking hormones. So it means there is some force which moves the body in a certain direction, creates a certain physical structure. In this way the mentality or the subtle body of the mind take charge over the gross body. And the Vedic scriptures say that the person takes birth in this world only for the sake of obtaining the certain taste of happiness. This taste of happiness is very different in a man and a woman. It practically has the opposite nature. Practically the opposite nature. And therefore the woman feels good besides the man, and the man feels good besides the woman. But only in case if they both doing what needs to be done. If they both aspire for happiness properly. All people strive for happiness. We have two types of orientation. The first type of orientation, that is the desire to arrange things in such a way that the people around me will understand me, will live for me, take care of me. It is called the natural way of thinking of the person, which leads to suffering, Our natural way of thinking leads to suffering. And the Vedas say that the family life is the test. We get married with thinking that now in the family life, the life will become better. We want happiness from the family life, but the family life, besides happiness, also brings in itself as much happiness as many tests. At the beginning it is difficult to understand, but after some experience it becomes clear. In this way, the person asking a question, why I need all this at all? Maybe it is better to live alone. He gets divorced, lives alone, it is not a solution. He again feels the sufferings, but only the sufferings are situated in another sphere. For example, the married woman, she is suffering because she is situated in a lower position. The woman who gets divorced suffering because she don't have a protection, everything falls down on her, she cannot carry out this burden of life. The woman's psychology is not meant for this type of happiness. The taste for loneliness is not the woman's taste. It doesn't bring her any satisfaction. She thinks, maybe it is better for me to live alone rather than to be humiliated in the family. So this kind of questions appear, and the person doesn't fully understand what to do, how to live properly. And the Vedas say that to live without knowledge is not possible at all. Need to know exactly what to do, how to live properly. Need to know exactly, otherwise there will be no happiness. This topic of family relationship is studied very seriously. Many psychologists have studied that. But the people don't know how to live properly in the family, because the modern science is adapting itself to these ideas, views, which is now present in the minds of people. It's adapting itself under these ideas which are popular and trying to dance on it. So, and this science, this knowledge, it's actually nothing to do with pure knowledge, because the pure knowledge is situated beyond any ideas of time. So it is beyond these ideas. It is based on truth, and the truth is that the woman has the subtle body, which is meant for quite certain taste of happiness. This taste of happiness in a relationship with her husband is situated in the sphere of a tractable approach. The woman cannot behave in a family relationship as the man, but the egoism is present in any person, in the man and the woman. In the man, egoism manifests itself in a certain way, in the woman too, and often the egoism is not corresponding to that style which should be chosen in life. In reality, the woman should behave, her egoism working in such a way that she experiences happiness without conflicting directly with her husband, but deal with the problem using a tractable approach. But the woman often is not able to do so due to the lack of knowledge that it will bring the happiness. They think sincerely that it has nothing to do with knowledge, but because I just cannot behave so. But any woman has the woman's body. The woman's subtle body means that she can behave so. She just have no knowledge that it can bring a good result. Let's say the husband scolding his wife, shouting at her. What is the wife's reaction should be, and how she react normally? The wife blame her husband in this case. She making arguments too, yes? Is that help or not? No. And who is stronger psychologically, the man or the woman? Someone say man, someone a woman. Why the man came to this lecture at all? To criticize your wives after? Why you came here? This lecture is not for you. Of course, it's a good idea if a few men will be sitting here, otherwise people will think that I'm making a harem over here. But with the closed ears. Why? Because what's the point for men to hear this lecture right now? The idea in the seminars is follows that the person should learn how to work on himself, but not study how your close person should work on himself. The knowledge about how to improve your partner is spoil the consciousness. For example, now all the men will know and they will come home and say to their wives, "What is your tractable approach to the wife?" And everything will be poisoned in the family life. However, I like to talk to the women now, not with the men. The men all know how the women should behave, they already know, they have no problem with that. They say, right, this lecture will flow into the man's ears just like the honey. But in the woman's ears, not the honey will flow. And I like to ask ladies, to ask a question. I hope some brave ladies are present here and they will answer my question. What do you think, ladies, in general? Is it possible to cope with your husband or not? Who is more stronger, the man or the women? Raise your hands, ladies, who think the man is stronger. It's not possible to handle them at all, no chance. One man put his hand up. Actually, the winners are those who said that it is possible to handle the husband. The woman's mind 6 times more stronger than the man's, according to the Vedic scripture, and more subtle. It is far more subtle. It is the same like the fight between a man and a woman. It is the same like the fight between an elephant and a tiger. Who is an elephant and who is the tiger? The woman is the tiger and the man is an elephant. But you have to understand, the tiger should not behave as an elephant in this case. Otherwise the tiger will be smashed over. The woman stands before the man with her arms akimbo. So what? That's it, the result will be clear. And the behavior of the woman really should be different. First of all, the woman should know her strength, where is her strength is situated. All the women get married because they think they are not beautiful. They think I am not beautiful, therefore I will not get married. The beauty is the most important, yes? Now the same idea must be used. Now we will talk about the serious stuff. So the woman's nature is such that she don't have any chance to develop herself as a person and feel happiness in life besides the work in a family relationship. For a woman, the family life is the main battlefield to battle with herself. There is no other options. The public work, it is just an entertainment. The woman cannot take her public duty seriously. She may look serious, but the real seriousness coming in the place where you get cut. And where is the woman get cut? The woman get cut at home, not at work. At work you can escape somehow. So let's start to think now. The first main Vedic concepts say, it is said very simply, in order for the family to be happy, need to work only one person on himself. It is enough only for one person to work on himself. It is enough. Not necessary two, not need two. One is enough. But you shouldn't tell to the second person about this, constantly reminding him so that I'm working on myself and now everything will be alright, this because I'm working on myself. So you don't need to do that. This is a secret. The person should do it secretly. So the main concept is clear. Rather, it is not clear, it was heard. To understand this need years of life. We need to really understand this. When the person starts working on himself properly, in the right direction, externally nothing changes. As were the relationship as they are, everything as before. It may continue on quite a long time, let's say 6 months or a year, depends on the weight of the mutual bad karma which exists in a family relationship. And what changes then? The burden of life changes. the woman who starts to work on herself in the family life, it becomes easier for her to live with that husband whom she was perceiving very difficult before. It means that she is going in the right direction. And at that time, when she conquers herself, when her husband won't disturb her anymore, and she will totally take charge of the situation, from that moment her husband will start to work on himself, simply under the influence of the force, which will come not from the wife, not from the husband himself. This power will come out of his own fate. Actually, in the family life, the woman paying off her karma and the man accumulated. Therefore, the man behaves as a hero in the family life. For him, all at all. It is not possible to make him. What is the problem? I can leave you all, I can do this, I can do that. I don't have any problem. He is the hero in the family life, the man is the hero. The woman cannot be a hero because she is very much attached as to her husband, as to her children. And therefore she always experiences certain difficulties. Of course, she can make a heroic look and threaten her husband that she will leave him, but this is just ridiculous. Why? Because who will suffer first if the woman leaves her husband? It will be much more difficult for her to get married, the more so she is with a child. And the woman in general, she cannot get rid of her ex-husband in her consciousness. It is very difficult to understand for her that somebody else will become her husband. Very difficult. It takes years for her to understand. Now, to get married with a child is very difficult, and the man take younger. The woman get divorced normally not in a very young age, therefore the burden of life falls onto her accordingly, and the beauty is disappearing from year to year. But the man can find younger for himself. And for whom will be more heavier after the divorce? For the woman or for the man? For the woman. Therefore the woman should not be proud of that she can get divorced. Then it appears that the woman has more humiliated position. It appears that her condition is worse in the family life. The same way the man at work, also the condition is worse. He also gets humiliated at work, he cannot escape. He also has to work on himself there. As the woman at home, the man at work, no any difference. Need to understand this idea. Therefore, for the woman there is no escape. She has to study this topic, the responsibilities of women in the family. She needs to study, because normally the woman first starts to work on herself in the family, not a man. The woman becomes first normally. And when the woman gets paid off the most deep part of her karma and she stops suffering in the family relationship, then the man becomes devoid of his exceptional position that he is accumulating karma and not paying off. The woman fulfilled her function, and after the man will work off. How this will take place, it is already the will of fate. The woman will see for herself that when she ceases to suffer due to the husband humiliating her and she able to act correctly in regards to him, he will start to respect her, and gradually this respect will become higher and higher, and at that moment when his respect to her will reach a reasonably high extent. But if he will try in this case to act as before, humiliating his wife, treating her badly, in this case he will see that he has no any chance to behave so. He will get a big problem. This problem will be situated inside. In other words, something will burn inside of him. He will feel uncomfortable. On the other side, he will be afraid to lose this person, because he will see that this person brings him happiness. And what's the problem? Why the woman cannot start first to work on herself? The problem is called the weakness of heart. What is the weakness of heart? The weakness of heart, it is an idea, the conception of life, that he has to start first to work on himself, and I will be the second. So if he will behave so, I will behave so, and if he is not going to behave so, I will not going to behave so. Why I should go first? Why I should start? If, for example, the gangster will stand in front of you with his gun pointed at you, and you will say to him, you have to understand first that you are not right, and after I will think about it. Is that not a schizophrenia? This is schizophrenia, but that's how our false ego works. It has such a tendency that the woman actually can see in front of her whether a personified suffering. The husband becomes for her as an object of personified suffering. She will experience only suffering from him. Or vice versa, the personified happiness. The husband can become a personified happiness. Ladies, please raise your hands who believe that the husband can become the personification of happiness. The heroes are still exist on earth. This is very important to understand. This is the main idea. If you don't believe that, then there is no point at all to come to these lectures. The husband can become the personification of happiness for the woman. Any husband, even the most drunk, can become the personification of happiness. Very difficult to understand this, but this is the goal of our lecture today. So the people meet each other, they fall in love, get married, but only I don't have a luck with this fate. Not only me, but everyone else too need to understand this idea that every single person on earth suffering in the family relationship. Everyone without exception. Why? Because the suffering are situated in the field of egoism of the person. Egoism always means I want to live for myself, I want to live for myself. When the people meet for the first time, they very much tend to live for another person. When the people fall in love, this tendency starts changing. They already want more for themselves. At the beginning they wanted that everything will be alright with this person, but when they are falling in love, then all this alright should be only in the sphere of relation with me. If he's got alright with another person, then it's already not alright, but the opposite means that need to fight already. You can see that unselfishness disappeared to some extent here. But when the people get married, the next step, there come in such a situation that that's it, now I can be myself as I am, yes? That's it now, he's mine, or she's mine, or it is mine. Mine means egoism. Egoism come into effect. Before that he was not mine, he was a stranger. And therefore I respect him, serve him, I'm nice to him. Now he's mine. Mine means that egoism fully covering this person. It means that if something is mine, let's say now my hand will start to run away on a table somewhere. Will I like it or not? Or the eye will start to twitch in itself. I will sit on the lecture, so many people, and my eye will start to twitch in itself. It's very unpleasant, right? In the same way, my husband, we go together in the street and all of a sudden he starts to behave strange. My husband, mine, very painful, yes? Very painful or not? Means that the woman start to hiss and snort on him. A big problem about to begin. So the first thing, the woman should understand that never the love is situated in a sphere of egoistic relationship. Never was there a time when the love was situated in a field of love means happiness. We live for happiness. The happiness is not situated in a sphere of egoistic relation. But our idea of the joint life is totally soaked in selfishness from top to toe. Besides egoism, there is nothing in it. Complete selfishness. And in this situation we are hoping on something. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. According to the Vedic point of view, the woman should, as well as the man, should conquer her egoism, and that's where the happiness is situated. While the person is situated in the sphere of his egoism, he is very much bound in his understanding of happiness. He is very much bound. For example, this person thinks, these people should behave in this way in relation to me, those people should treat me in this way, and that way the slightest change in behavior and the suffering immediately come into effect. Are you agree with me? Why? Because everyone has to love me, everyone has to be nice to me, everyone should take care of me, yes? But you should know that the time is working in such a way in this world that it takes from the hearts of all the people, from the subtle body of the mind, from the depth of mind, taking out the bad karma. No matter if it is a husband, children, relatives, father, mother, everyone at some point of the time, this power of time will spoil the mood and will make so that the person will tune badly, he will acquire a bad mood, he will have something bad inside of him, something that will prevent him from that state of happiness. And is it possible for the selfishly tuned woman to be happy in this case or not? It is not possible. She cannot be happy because her understanding of happiness collapsing immediately because of this. How dare he behave like this with me, to talk to me like this, to behave with children that way? However, we need to know that this is the nature of our fate. The person, according to his fate, gets as much suffering as he deserves to. And in the case of the close relatives, it works very synchronously. All the filth inside of the husband coming out on the surface by the psychic influence of the wife's karma. He appears like a weapon. The person will not put forward himself, right? But the bad karma needs to be paid off somehow to become better. The law of karma means the law of justice. Everything negative that was made in the past should be repaired. And very clever was arranged by nature that the gun directed to the wife holding a husband, and the wife holding a gun directed towards the husband. But who is pulling the trigger? Question. Who is pulling the trigger? The trigger is pulled not by the person himself, but the one pulling the trigger whose karma needs to be paid off. That is the trick of fate. According to the Vedic knowledge, when the woman's bad period is about to begin, from inside of her coming out the subtle energy, which she don't understand herself. And to understand is very difficult. Don't even try to understand. This is practically impossible. You need to see it, but it's not possible. This energy forces the close person to behave badly towards me, and exactly to that extent to which I deserve to in my life. And now I have a question to everyone. In this case, is it possible at all this family happiness? Is it so? If it is so, it is possible. The family happiness is situated in a field of battling for your happiness. It is not situated in a field of relaxation. Most of the people, when they get married, they thinking that we are going to be happy. The happiness for them means we are going to this direction, we are having a good time in this place, we are doing this, we love our children. So this kind of picture appear very inert. There is no any movement towards the self-perfection, some kind of relaxation. And externally it seems like this. It is arranged so that the first months of life and the contents and the joint life, the fate, does not take the gun out of consciousness of the close people. At the first time appears that he is so nice to me, he is talking with me so nicely. Why it is so? It is because the family need to be created. That is arranged by nature. And the karma won't work off immediately, but when the joint life begins, the egoism of each other is going deeper and deeper into the mentality, and there comes such a moment when it's reached the negative features of the character. And from that moment, the woman see that her husband start to get angry at her, and she become very irritated. And the man see that his wife get angry at him, and he get frustrated too. And the hysterics begins, the life becomes very difficult. Are you agree with me that there comes such a moment in everybody's family life? And from that moment the real family life begins. Indeed, from this very moment begins, that's what we call the real family life, whereas the serious work on himself is required. And the first rule is that when the person notices, the first rule means everybody, men, women, since we have many men and women here, Every person has to catch himself on an idea that when I see it's become difficult for me in relationship with the close person, I have to think, to be convinced that it is the force that coming from my own self. There is no fault in this person. Yes, he tend to behave like this. He act always as such. He is angry at me because he has a tendency to behave in this particular way, to be angry with me. But who is guilty that he behaves so? My previous actions, which work through me and create the situation. Do you understand the idea? This is the main idea. It is difficult to understand. Now you are sitting here nodding your head, but if say now you'll come home and your husband say, "Where have you been?" And that's it. Immediately the problem begins. Why? Why you cannot understand that I need to go to these lectures? I do this for you. And immediately arguments, quarrels begins, etc. Who must understand in this case? The wife should understand. Ladies, don't worry, I say the same things to the man as well. The wife must understand that she is guilty and she made something wrong in the past, and now her husband treats her in this way. Why I need this understanding? Is that one cannot manage without it? It appears that not. The beginning of work on yourself, the modification of family relations, begin with that understanding that I am guilty myself and my problem. The woman has to repeat to herself every second, hundreds and hundreds of times in a day, she has to repeat, I am guilty myself and my problems. And if comes such a moment when the husband behaves cruelly, cynically and cold, and the children behave very badly, she has to catch herself on this idea, get firmly established in it, to force to feel herself guilty. And what happens at this moment? Do you know what happens? At this moment, an egoism of this woman which kind of wrap up the husband and the children. It's like when we pinch a finger we feel pain because the egoism is there. In the same way when the husband and the children, when a person feels pain, will he thinks who is guilty? He feels pain. What is the matter for him who is guilty? He feels the pain. If somebody would say, you guilty yourself, why you put your finger over there? Why? Who's got to say that you're guilty yourself? The person should tell this to his own self, and at once he will feel better, at once. The finger will hurt, but it won't stimulate the psychic, the mental pain. The biggest problem is the mental pain. It takes away all the common sense from the person, takes away the possibility to do the right things, and the family life is collapsing and the relations is falling apart. When the woman understands that she is guilty herself, she takes away her egoism from the husband and the children. They become free from her egoism. Despite of husband get her raised out of herself, he acts badly on her, and the children doing the same. But the woman in this case not react on their words as strongly as before. The reaction become weaker. Why? Because she, in this case, remains alone with herself. She thinks that she, herself, is a problem. This is the first stage, the very first stage of work on yourself. The women who do not want to accept this first stage, they won't be able to change anything in their lives. Never. The main problem which is not allowed them to take charge of their husbands, do you know what is it? Actually, ladies should always take charge of their husbands in their family life. Always they should do this. This is their responsibility. The female's body made in such a way. She manipulates all the family members and doing this with the help of a tractable approach. We will talk about this a bit later. But in reality, the very main problem consists of that the most women, they are unable to use this woman's power, for the reason that the women are situated in the clutches of their fate. The slightest harsh word, somebody said something wrong and she get out of herself. She unable to behave properly in the relationship. It's become very difficult for her to associate with the close people. And instead of behaving as a tiger, she starts to behave as a small elephant, who will get smashed. Therefore, the first thing, you should take the impact on yourself. And it is very difficult to do. In order to do so, you need to be a strong person. You need to make this strength. In order to make this strength, you need to attend another lectures. But in this lecture, we will talk about how to act already. Clearly, we assume that you already have this psychic power. Raise your hands, ladies, but be honest, please. Who of you able at once immediately understand when the close person get angry, immediately able to understand that it is actually not his problem but mine? Who able to understand this at once? Now you've raised your hands. Now raise their hands those who already raised their hands. Who think that in my family now everything is all right? Out of those who already raised their hands. No one put their hands up. This means that you are mistaken. You are situated in complete delusion. If you are able at that moment when the close person behaves badly towards you, if you are really able to understand that this is not his problem but mine, and not take offense, then immediately the person becomes free from the sufferings. There is no doubt about it. The woman becomes free of suffering immediately, because the suffering means the sense of unfairness. The difficulties remains. Difficulties and suffering is that different things are the same. Different. We use an example with a bag. When the person carries his own bag, does he feel suffering? No, it's just difficult for him. But when the person carries somebody's bag, and the more so unfair, somebody make him to carry this bag, and no one will pay him, he would feel suffering. This is very heavy for him. Why? He thinks this is so unfair. This is suffering. So we need the sufferings change into difficulties. Now, ladies, write down, please. The women always hoping that once upon a time the husband and the children will understand me. Write down, ladies. Write down. The first rule, take the impact up. The second rule, not a husband, not a children will never understand you. Write down, please. Not a husband, not a children will never understand me if I won't understand this, what we were talking about. If you won't be able to understand this, then they will never understand you. If you understand this, then they will be able to understand you very well, will respect you, etc. You must understand nobody to rely on, only on yourself in relations with the close people. Nobody will help. I have to act myself, I have to take the responsibility for my life. And the responsibility consists of what? What we should do. Need to say to yourself, my life is difficult because I deserve it. That's where the responsibility is. And not need to share with anybody, not need to say the life is difficult for me, you don't understand me, you don't love me, I've got a bad karma and yet you're bothering me. No, this is a bad karma. Normally, you're not saying to your hand, why do you feel pain? I have already pain in my body. It is schizophrenia. They bothering you because they incarnate this bad karma into life. And do they able to cope with themselves and not to incarnate this bad karma into life? They cannot. They are also slaves of your internal force. They are slaves. The husband and the children, they are slaves of the bad karma of the wife. They are acting just like a mechanism. They cannot do anything with themselves and they don't want to. Why? Because they think, I am doing the right things, the right things, the right things. And the children go, and we doing the right things. But she feel the pain. The next rule, please write down. Don't try to fight with your karma. Don't try to correct the attitude of the close people to you. It is just a stupid thing to do. It's never going to happen. It's simply a waste of time. The waste of time. It should not be done, and it will bring the misfortune. The relationship will get worse and worse. There is a bad past karma, but also there is a bad present karma, and it will get accumulated. The relationship will become intolerable. those women who trying to correct the behavior of their close people doomed to continue suffering in the family life. No any chance to get rid of it. What to do then? At the beginning, take impact up. This is the first. The second, moving further. The woman has to understand her strength. She has to understand what is her woman's strength consist of. Is there a woman's strength, or the only man's power rule the world? The Vedas say the woman can start the war with another nation. The wife of the king, the wife of the ruler, can start the war. The wife can pacify and make the war finished. Is that some power works, or it is just words? This is power, you agree, this is a power. One woman can destroy a good relationship in the whole group of people. It means the woman has the power. But the women often don't understand where is their power situated, and that is the big problem. The men also, they don't understand where is their strength is situated, and this is a big problem. And so, where is the power of the woman is situated? Write down, please. The woman's strength consists of that she has to always step back and never attack. How then the relations will change into my direction? Always step back. Is it possible for the relations to get in the favor of the woman then? Let's say, husband coming from work, angry, and say, so, do you work on yourself or not? I am angry, don't you see I am angry? Why I am angry? Do you work on yourself or not if I am angry? I should be good to you if you work on yourself. You've been attending those lectures I've been listening to. What is your work on yourself? Tell me. The husband say like this. The wife quietly. Sit down in her room and say, my dear husband, the condition, we accept the condition that she is already coped with herself and thinks that this is her own personal problem in this case, not his, but her problem. She's saying, my dear husband, please eat something, you are hungry. He said, I will figure out myself what to do, to eat or not to eat. Everything is ready on the kitchen, this and that. Forgive me that I distract you. I will go to my room, I feel bad. He go to the kitchen, eats something there, his heart becomes softer, he feels good, he thinks, now I need to correct the situation, because the situation became red hot, but I want to be happy. How to achieve the happiness then? Need to have a pity on the wife, come to her, or to scold her, but already in a nice way, more humanly. And he comes to his wife in her room and say, so, you think I am not right now? She's saying, no, I don't think so. I think that I'm not right. He's saying, what are you talking about? What are you playing this comedy? Do not play this comedy. She's silent. Husband thinking, clever works, she's working clever with me. And at the same time, he feel respect for her. He say, but do you still love me after all this happens or not? She is silent. He asking, say something, do you love me or not? Yes or no? She say, yes. Then why you look morose like you feel bad? Why you crying if you're happy with me? Why you crying? She's saying, because I cannot behave properly with you, therefore I'm crying. If I could, I wouldn't be crying. He's saying, don't worry, you will learn one day. She again silent and quiet. for the first time this appeared like, how is it possible to live like that? Such a humiliation, what kind of situation? How is it possible to live with such a man at all? So the woman accepts this position, she always steps back. However, while taking steps back, she starts to see that in this movement, when she taking steps back, her husband continues on following her. He doesn't lag behind. She taking steps back, and the husband go after her. He doesn't lag behind. He's kind of moving after her, trying to clarify the relationship, but he cannot attack as aggressively as before, because he is satisfied with the behavior of his wife. Actually, all the hysterics and scandals in the family life takes place only for one reason, that the person demands that happiness which he is supposed to have in a family life. The man actually does not need anything else in the family life. He needs only that his wife always taking the steps back. He does not need anything else, believe me. It looks very stupid. Simply that his wife always taking steps back, and nothing else. That's it. The wife always taking steps back, she is obedient. The man does not need anything else in the family relationship. He become happy in the family life. If he become happy, of course, his character does not change because of this. But for the woman, the life becomes easier or not? Yes, the life becomes much more easier. She does not wait from him anything. She understands, I've got such a husband, his character will not change. He will remain as such. And always will be so. Because the person doesn't change with the pressure. He changes when he is given the freedom. The person changes only when there is a freedom. And gradually this husband starts to feel, what is the point with her unprotected behave this way? She again and again will answer in the same way, this is my fault, my behavior is not good. At the same time, the woman should very neatly carry out all her duties before the husband. Do the laundry, cook for him, always apologize, be proactive. She wash the clothes, she say, I'm sorry, maybe it's not so good, forgive me. I prepare food, maybe it's not good, I'm sorry. She must behave always like this. Now, I'm saying how it is supposed to be, ladies. And everyone sitting and looking at me. I would get my way out of here, but it's too crowded over here. What I'm doing here? Why I came here at all? What happens next? Gradually, by acting so, the woman starts to feel that the husband can be in two forms. Whether he a wolf or a baby. Ladies with whom you like to associate more, with the wolf or with the baby? With the wolf who will bite you through your throat with his teeth, or with the baby? With the wolf you like better. Happy cruise in a family life. Of course, feels better with the husband who behaves like a baby. How to make him behave as a baby, like a baby? In order to do so, all you need is to be obedient all the time. And for example, the wife starts to think to do some shopping. Of course, ladies like all kinds of decorations. And let's say she wanted to buy some dress for herself. And she come to her husband and say, I feel so sad. He's saying, and why do you feel sad? I won't tell you. And go out of room. She shouldn't tell straight, it is a humiliation for the woman. She's got her own egoism, she shouldn't move the situation, never. The woman's egoism working like this. Some women often has the man's egoism, this is not correct. They should act with the help of the woman's egoism. How the woman should move the situation? She's saying, I won't tell you, and go out of room. He's going after her. Now, I want to know why you feel sad. Need to understand that at home, in the family, the psychic atmosphere is created by the woman. Therefore, it becomes simply intolerable for a man if his wife has a bad mood. For him, it is unbearable to live in that situation. And of course, if he chastises his wife and she's got a bad mood, he understands he is guilty too. Therefore, he will not bother her very much. He understands that the situation here is two-folded, and he is guilty too. But when he is not guilty and wife feels sad, how possibly she could feel sad if I am not guilty at all, right? So he comes to her room and saying, sit down, why do you feel sad? I want a new dress. The wife should never hide anything from her husband. This is one of the rules of communication, very important, to open the mind. I want a new dress. He said, I'm sorry, but we don't have the money. I know. And we are not going to buy a new dress for you in the near future, I agree. So what's the problem? Why you feel sad? I don't know. Do you still want a new dress? I won't tell you. You understand this idea? The conversation is closed. No money. But the husband keep in mind very well what he needs to do in his life in order to be happy. He will start saving some money for a new dress. And at some moment she will see that my husband changed. He is walking in an apartment here and there like a hero. She knows that he already bought a new dress. She knows, she already 100% sure. At some moment, all of a sudden he takes out this dress. She looking at him and asking, oh, you bought a dress for somebody? He said, and what do you think? I got this for your girlfriend. She said, can I look at? She opened it. Oh, such a beautiful dress. She will like it. That would be right for her. You are such a good man, taking care of everyone. And he said, I bought this dress for you. She looking at him. No, you must be joking to buy for me such an expensive things. You'd better to buy something for yourself. She shouldn't concede in no case. She should always continue with the tractable approach. And he thinks, such a woman do not exist anymore. Do not exist anymore. Do you understand the idea or not? But in order to become such a woman, you need to be trained. The training is required, you understand? It is necessary to accumulate the woman's power within yourself. Now, the second option. You need to know, ladies, that the man can be as meek as the lamb and as obstinate as the ram. Do you feel difference? It is the same form of life, isn't it? The lamb and the ram. But the ram means opinionated as the ram, and the lamb means very meek and humble. You understand where is the difference is situated? The man becomes a lamb when the woman taking steps back from him, cultivating a tractable approach. And the man becomes a ram when the woman pressures him, trying to change him. Is it possible to change the man or not? Raise your hands, ladies, who think it is possible to change the man. Using the force, I mean. At least one, please raise your hand and say honestly who thinks that it is possible to talk, to explain to him. The husband put up the wife's hand. All the others refrained. But you will come home and despite of all common sense will provoke your husbands. And it means the weakness of heart. That is exactly the weakness of heart that we are talking about. Means that first you have to change, and after I'm going to change. You don't want to take the impact on yourself in this problem. And now the lecture, which I'm about to begin, is dedicated to the ladies who take the impact on themselves. How the woman has to act in relation with her husband. The 5 main Vedic commandments. The first commandment, very close and secretly. In order to achieve this level of intimacy with your husband, you not need to try to fish him out about what happens with him in his work. In order to achieve his closeness, it is just necessary to talk everything that comes into your head. to talk to the husband everything that comes not into his head, but into your head, the wife's head. So she's saying to him, "Do you know that I am still a woman of yours?" He say, "I'm hear this for the first time." Why? Or he say, "I know." She's saying, "Little you know. Actually, I had a bad thoughts about you, but you are a very good person, therefore I apologize." He's saying, "For what?" "Because I was thinking badly about you." "And what did you think?" "I was thinking that you love our neighbor Mashka. But I know this is nonsense, because you are the most good, the most faithful, the most strong man on earth." He thinking, yes, love Mashka a bit, but my wife is very good. Perhaps I won't love Mashka anymore. You understand the idea? The more woman open her mind to her husband, the less chance for him to become independent. According to the Vedic knowledge, the woman who thinks that I would be able to find someone better than him, this way of thinking is breaking the family apart. That's it. She loses the control over her husband. He can go out. She gives him the right to go out. As soon as she starts thinking, I would be able to find someone better, that's it. The happy family life is finished. The man is like the wind, it is not possible to hold him, but this wind becomes quiet when the woman reveals her heart to her husband, and all her thoughts becomes his thoughts. She opens everything good and bad in front of him. This state of consciousness of woman is called faithfulness. When the woman behaves so, then the man becomes bound. He is unable to look at another woman, unable to flirt with them. The big problem appears inside of him. He starts to be afraid of his wife, to be afraid in the sense, of course, he's got the desire to go out, all the men had this, but the fear appears inside of him. If he does so, then the fear becomes manifested inside of him, because in this case he is dealing with the power. So the first woman's power is the intimate relationship with her husband. She always opened to him her heart constantly and looking after herself. And if she sees inside of her some kind of idea that she wanted to hide from him, it means she just letting him out more and more from herself. And if she wants to keep her husband beside her, and this is the principle of family relationship, she has always opened her heart, and he will be unable. He will think in this case that actually I'm not reveal anything to her, I'm not saying everything what is inside of me. He thinks I'm more smart, but actually he becomes more and more attached to his wife. Next, the second principle. Do you understand what is the first principle gives? The husband cannot go. Even if he's got somebody, he will not go in this case. He cannot go because the wife behaved properly. In order to counteract one power, we need to use another power. The woman's power is unconquerable in a family relationship. If the woman wants, the family will remain. If she doesn't want, it will be ruined anyway. For the woman just enough to say, I don't want to live with that person, and that's it. The family will fall apart by itself. Do not need to do anything. On the other hand, the woman should say, I'm going to live with that person, and then she has to open her heart and mind to him, and there is no any chance for him to destroy the family then. Of course, there is a possibility for this woman to have some heavy unsurmountable karma, and the husband will go completely crazy, and she won't be able to cope with herself. But anyway, if at some point she will cease to reveal her heart to him, that will be enough for him to run away. The second principle gives another strength. It is called attitude with the Great Reverence. Attitude with the Great Reverence. What is it for? Need to understand the man's principle of happiness. The man's principle of happiness means the glory. The woman's principle of happiness is the love or the closeness of the relationship. The woman feels happiness from the close relationship, and with the help of the first principle she creates all this happiness. She makes herself this closeness. As much closeness she wants, that much it will be. need to overcome the weakness of heart because she thinks, why I would tell him all this and if he will dump me after this? And that is exactly what we call the weakness of heart. The second principle with the Great Reverence means to understand what is the happiness of man consists of. The man behave like the Lord in the family relationship, not because he is stupid and don't understand who is the Lord here, but because it is the man's nature. Let's try to accuse a person that he has the nose or the eye. This is ridiculous, isn't it? Why do you have two eyes? Let's take out one of them. This is ridiculous, because this is a man's nature. This is incorporated in the structure of his subtle body. The man cannot live with the people who tend to humiliate him. Only a very mature, advanced person with a strong intelligence, able to tolerate humiliation from the others. Such a man accepts a spiritual master normally. He becomes mature. But the Vedas say that the woman can develop her husband up to whatever degree of maturity she wants to. So she can change the character of her husband. But in order to do so, she has to behave properly. That is the idea. She should not press him in any way. The change is taking place by itself. She just behaves herself properly. So the woman starts to think, convincing herself, forcing herself to think that her husband is the best, the most reliable, the most good, the most responsible person. Ladies sitting over there thinking, but how I could think this way? After all, my husband is irresponsible, not serious, not reliable. So how? But how? The weightlifter approaches the bar and the bar is heavy. But how? How I can lift it? How? It is heavy, the bar is heavy, yes? He is the best of mine. Ladies, who is ready? Is there a ladies who is ready? Is there any strong ladies over here? Or everyone is weak over here? Only one? Everyone else is weak. Two? Who else? 500 people sitting in the hall. 10 people? 12? Ready? 13, 14, 16? The best person on earth, my husband. I understand no one thinks this way. I'm asking who is ready to think. At least who is ready to start to think so. So now, ladies, I am going to open one more secret to you. Ladies, think. But the reality is different. He's actually the swine of mine. The reality is different. According to the Vedic knowledge, the family relationship is not reality at all. This is the field of activity of illusion, of some kind of illusory forces. And actually the reality is situated in the field of woman's understanding in a family relationship. If the woman thinks he is the best of mine, if she at least wants to think this way, then actually some serious changes appears inside of the man. He becomes a responsible person. At the beginning, this changes express itself in some kind of gross manifestations. He becomes like this, very cool, he's going here and there in the apartment like a cool man. The woman thinks, he is the best of mine, the best of mine. He simply don't understand this right now. He will develop fast, he will become better and better. Now it is manifested this way, after it will become much better. Is that the self-delusion or not? No, this is the manifestation of power. The woman should manifest her strength in this way, because now I will explain the principle. The mind of the person is not protected from the mind of another person. The mental spaces always intersects. And according to the Vedic knowledge, the mental space of the husband in the family does not exist. In the family there is only mental space of the wife. The man in the family has only the space of intelligence. The man stands over the woman in the family, yes, but the man only occupied the space of intelligence. As far as the mood is concerned in the family and thoughts, then the woman's mood, the woman's thoughts in the family are predominating completely. And the man he thinks that his own thoughts are dominating. He thinks so, but I'm saying what is actually going on in the family life. The mind. What is the mind? It is the emotions, the mood, the thoughts. The woman dominates completely. The man has no any power to dominate over his wife. If he starts to behave badly to his wife, get angry at her, then the woman has to regard it as if she has the wrong attitude. She shouldn't tell him about this all the time. Of course, she should tell him that she is guilty, but she only has to tell him about her problems. But she should never talk about his problem. You understand? She's saying, you don't have any problem, only I have a problem. She's not discussing his problem. Now, the next rule. The woman do not discuss with her husband his problems. She do not think that my woman's pride allow me to discuss his problem. My husband has no problem. The woman never discussed the problem of her husband with the other women, and the more so with the other men. This means that she loses her family at once. My husband has no problem. She tuned herself in this way. Only I have a problems. Do you like I will tell you one amazing thing? If you will be able to cope with your karma, ladies, the husband at home will walk as silk. He can play dirty tricks with anybody, he can do anything at work, but never he will behave badly at home. Because the attitude of the husband to his wife in the family depends on to what extent improperly the wife behaves. The mental space of the woman completely dominates in the family relationship. The man will behave with the woman exactly as she deserves to. The other options do not exist. Therefore the woman has to think. He is very good, he is the best of mine. If somebody is saying, your husband is not good, she has to say, this is not right. You don't know my husband. She has to prove always, she has to cheer with her clothes. Kind of get her teeth into, she has to argue and fight that my husband is good. He never making mistakes. He always do everything right. That is the principal position of the woman. And what is that principle gives? The husband become as meek as the lamb. He become as silk. He will never be able to offend such a woman, to insult her in some way. He does not have such a power, the man does not have such a power. Do you know how to conquer a man? You need to pat him on the head. If you do it in the wrong direction, the result will be totally opposite. That's it. What is the point to do something that will not help? What is the problem? The weakness of heart. How he is the best of mine if he is an alcoholic? I don't believe that. How much weight this woman lifts? What is the weight? Nothing. She should not lift any bar. She cannot lift even a small weight. My husband is an alcoholic because I deserve it. If I would be able to believe that my husband is good for real, then he wouldn't be an alcoholic. She has to think so. The woman has to think this way. That is the woman's pride. The next principle. The respectful approach. The woman does not allow herself to call her husband depreciatingly, to call his name jokingly. She does not allow herself to approach him with familiarity. Let's say in your family it's acceptable to call each other by the name. Generally in the Vedic culture, the woman does not call her husband even by the name. She approaches him always as the Lord, for the reason I have described already. We know who is the Lord in the family in reality. In the family, the woman is the Lord. In the family life, the woman is the Lord, in case if she behaves properly. But the woman is named as the Lord of her husband. Why? Because, of course, this is impossible in our situation. It will be funny, therefore you call him at least by name. But it should look very respectfully, very respectfully. For example, if the children grow in ill-mannered, means this principle is not followed. If the wife approaches her husband very respectfully, with humility, approaches him with some question always, this means that the children will be obedient. They have no any chance to be disobedient, no any chance. They will be very respectful to their mother and father. Next, if she acts in this way, will be able the relatives to scheme against her. You know, the relatives of husband do not like the wife, the woman, and the relatives of the woman do not like the husband. How then the wife should relate to the relatives of her husband? She has to relate to them with even more respect than to her own relatives. In this case, they will not have a chance to not love her. They will try to bully her, to mock her, but she can react. Can the woman take offense? Yes, she can, but she always has to apologize after this. She should say, I'm not right, you're right. My dear, I was not right in this situation, you were right. She has to act in this way. It is her strength, otherwise she manifests weakness. She should not prove to her husband that she is right. This is foolishness. This means to beat herself on the head. Who like to beat yourself on the head? Which person like it? As the call, so the echo, ladies. You will get echo back 1,000 times. If you make a remark to your husband, know that you stabbed him in the heart. He will remember all his life and will constantly remind you about this remark. You understand? The man is not trained with the help of remarks. It is not possible. The man can be trained in the secret way, indirectly. In reality, the man changes when he starts to work on himself. But in order for him to start to work on himself, the woman and her woman's feature should become very strong. And then the husband will start to work on himself. And as for the woman, what this respectful attitude, what it gives? It gives freedom to the woman. We were talking. The first principle, the innermost relationship, tied up the husband. Next, with the great reverence, the attitude with great reverence. And this is the third principle. This is almost the same, but you should understand what does it mean with great reverence. It means you have to approach him very respectfully, and that means never to criticize him, not personally and not with the other people. What it gives to her? It gives freedom. Let's say the woman wants to go to the lecture, but the husband does not allow her. It means that she developed a disrespectful attitude towards him. That's it, only this, nothing else. As soon as she will start to regard him with respect, he himself will ask her to go to the lecture. You just need to sit and cry a bit, as I have explained. Very simple scheme. The woman has two types of unconquerable weapons. Two types of unconquerable weapon. That is the words of reproach directed towards yourself, not to the husband, but on yourself. If the words of reproach directed towards the husband, this means that she is just digging a grave for herself. The words of reproach directed to yourself, this is the first. My behavior is not properly in relation to you, I behave badly, I'm a bad wife of yours, and you deserve much better. That's how the woman should always say. The words of reproach directed to yourself. The second power is the tears directed to yourself. He will come for the purpose to check why are you crying. You should say, I'm crying not because it is your fault, but because this is my fault I'm crying. Then he will sit beside and pacify her. He will say, actually you are not guilty, it is not your fault. He will never say that this is his fault, of course. He will say, this is not your fault, this so happened. That is the man's nature. The next fourth principle. The woman should always keep the situation in her hands. This means she should always control herself, not the children, not the husband, but herself she should always control. This self-control means always apologize if something happened. Let's say in the family someone shouted at somebody and the quarrel appeared. She should go and apologize before everybody and say, I am guilty in this and I am guilty in that. Forgive me please that everything turned out like that. She should always apologize. Ladies say, what kind of happiness to live that way? What are you talking about here? Is that your wife behaves so? I'm learning from her. I'm narrating this lecture according to her behavior. I knew all this theoretically, but the God gave me such a wife who knows the matter better than me 10 times, and therefore I'm saying all this to you. I know how the woman should behave, not by hearing this. I have a personal experience, and those who knows my wife, they can confirm this 10 times. I never see that she had mistaken her behavior. She behaved very neatly in this direction. And I know all these questions, and I know where is the woman's power, and I cannot do anything. I cannot stand against this woman's power. The woman's nature has enormous power. This is very important to know all this. It's not like I am boasting here. I am telling all this for you so that you develop a faith. The women do not believe, they think it is impossible, but I am telling you it is possible. I am also as opinionated as the ram. All the men are the same, but we should believe it is possible. So the woman should always apologize, and that's where the woman's self-control is situated actually. The self-control does not mean that she has to walk with the acidic physiognomy. That is what the woman should never do in the family. Every woman understands that her mood is the key point in the family life. Whatever mood she chooses, everyone around will feel the same. If I want to take revenge on everybody, I will just make an acidic physiognomy, and I will go with this physiognomy, and everyone will suffer, feel unhappiness. Therefore the man get angry how? With the help of external activities, get angry, destroying everything, etc. How the woman get angry? She take offense. Because if she will crush everything, it doesn't affect the husband so much. Let's say she breaks some plates in the kitchen, what's the problem? But if she would take offense, then it's painful already, because she changing atmosphere at home, right? She changing. And he feel the pain. And the woman take advantage of it, she taking offense, and the husband start to hate her for that. Therefore, woman, is it possible for the woman not to take offense? It is not possible, we've got our egoism, yes? How is it possible to live without taking offense? The woman taking offense in the same way as the man, getting angry too, but the woman take offense even on her husband. But she has to transfer this offense on herself. And under no circumstances she should to say to her husband that she take offense on him. Never she has to say to her husband about this. This is a defeat of the woman. I only take offense on myself. Forgive me if you think other way. No, I'm only take offense on myself. I am guilty in this situation. This is my fault. She has to say. Often this happens. That is the nature of woman's fate. Always apologize first in all situations. Next, the fifth principle as follows. The woman should conduct certain actions directed towards protection of her husband. Since she is mentally predominating in the family relationship, the mental state of the husband depends on the wife, therefore the prosperity of the family depends on the wife too, to a large extent. Now I will explain. Of course, the man, in his external activities, he is like the fish in the water. The woman is unable to control him over there, dominate over him. But in reality, you need to understand such a thing, that the man accumulating his strength in order to make his external things. Only at home. The man at home taking rest, taking off his belt, he's taking rest. He cannot control himself in the family relationship. He's coming at home, lie down on the sofa. Do you want to hammer a nail? No, I don't want. Maybe you want. No, I don't want. Maybe you will hammer it. No, I will not hammer it. That is the man's nature. When the man hammers the nail in the family. When the wife taking the hammer start banging, beat herself on the finger, squeals, and after saying quietly, I'm sorry, I think I make something wrong. Or she's coming and asking, can I fix the door? She's saying, can you help me please to lift the door? He said, come on, you know I'm watching TV, what happens? Come on, you wanted to lift this door, try to lift it yourself. She's trying to lift it, oh, very heavy. She's sitting and crying near the door. He's coming and say, "That's it. Go out. Now I will fix it myself." Very simple. Very simple. What you want to make at home? Repair? Just start to repair in the same way. Very easy to make everything. That's it. Go now. I will fix it myself. Immediately he's got enthusiasm to do everything. If you go and remind him always, when you will hammer this nail, he will never hammer it. You may rest assured. Or if he will hammer it, but he will remember all his life that they make him to do so. He's relaxed at home. The home is his rest. Therefore, the man should be the master at home. But in reality, when the woman understands how to behave properly, she is the master. He with great pleasure will hammer the nails at home to do everything that his wife wants to. And at the same time, he will think that this is his desire. He will think that this is his idea, not her. That is the point. The man sitting over there thinking, yes, difficult to understand what is in his head. Are we really that stupid? The ladies too have. The ladies have a turn in one direction, the men in another. The men have stupidity in this direction, the ladies has their weaknesses too. And let's say if the man behaves as the man, he is serious and responsible, then in this case the woman becomes a woman. The man is responsible, he is actually serious, carries out his man's duty. The woman will become anxious to be the real woman. She will like it. The woman take birth in this woman's body for that kind of happiness, to be unprotected, so that somebody will take care of me, look after me, protect me. Why the woman become a lion? Because nobody else in the family to become a lion. Because she don't understand properly how to make so that the man will become a lion. For the woman it is humiliation to become a lion herself. Humiliation. The woman should not take the responsibility in the family. Maybe we can go somewhere in the cinema, for example? No, you won't. Okay, you won't. But I like to go to breathe the fresh air all the time at home. Maybe we can open the window. Okay, open the window. Why you open all the windows? It's very cold now. Forgive me, you told me yourself. Forgive me. She closed the windows. You know, my girlfriend called me. Such a nice film in the cinema now. I told you won't go to the cinema. Okay, I forgot, forgive me. So this conversation should take place not today, when need to go to the cinema, but the day before. You understand or not? And afterwards, the next day, the wife coming home, I like to go to cinema so much, but I know that we won't be able to go. I understand, but still. He's saying, why won't we? We can do everything. So he's ready already. Try to understand, ladies, if you want something to happen, something to do, somewhere to go, you need to prepare your husband beforehand. The man's psychology is changing slowly, he needs to understand. He's ready, he don't mind, but if the woman has a tractable approach, but the man cannot understand at once, he cannot be inspired immediately. Therefore, you need to prepare him beforehand. After a few days, he himself will want to do what needs to be done. The situation needs to be prepared gradually and everything will be alright. But under no circumstances you should make pressure on him. One clumsy pressure and that's it, the situation is lost. So, the fifth principle, she should always wish all good to her husband. Need to know that the Vedas describe many types of prayers and different austerities that the woman undergoes for the good of her husband, so that her husband will flourish, so that he will be healthy, everything will be alright with his job. Is it working? What do you think? It has enormous power. It is working 100%. The Vedas say if the woman want, the powerful lady, who is able to lift the weight, about whom we were talking about, but not the one who unable to lift even a small weight to think that her husband is the best, means this woman has a very weak mentality. The woman who really has got the power, she will has a certain mood, will chant a certain prayers, depends on her faith. She will act in this way in relation to her husband. Everything will start changing in his life. Why this happened? Because the man who believes in his power, he is relaxed. What is the tiredness of the man? The tiredness of the man always